Blame it on Rich.
Probably true. Probably not much pizza over there. July meeting was like July 3rd or something like that.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, because everybody's like out of town.
that is actually out of town business.
Come to a meeting on Thursday night. I call this January 4th UAC meeting to order. Please join me. America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if there's a member of the public that would like to speak on a utility matter, seeing no one come forward, we'll move ahead to this consent agenda. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept it.
So moved. Second.
Consent agenda has passed unanimously. Old business item number 1. Gons, sounds like we have some new information here.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Last meeting, there were questions about different alternatives regarding the lease of the modular office building. So I have in your packet, there is some alternatives and options. The original proposal was to lease a used modular office for 5 years for $73,708. And there are 3 alternatives. We can extend the lease for 7 years, and the cost will be $97,708. Or buy a new modular office building for $102,263. And the third alternative is to buy a used modular office building for $50,711. So I put a graph to see the various options. And if you go with a 5-year lease, you'll be exceeding the purchase of a used modular office in about 3.5 years. Then if you go 7 year, you'll be way above the cost of buying a used building. And then the yellow line shows the price of a new building. Now, regarding if we can put this in the CIP, the budget process for 2019-2020 will start in March. And then at that time, I can add that to the CIP, and we can explore options. But it will be up to the City Council to accept that CIP or not.
Right, so even if it's accepted, that's not going to be till August of 18, wouldn't be started until
19.
19 at the earliest. Okay.
So what are the downfalls to buying the used one?
There is none, except that at the end of, let's say, if we find a permanent solution or a new building for line maintenance crew, then we'll have a modular office building empty that probably can be reused somewhere else.
Right.
But right now we have a $50,000 investment sitting there that probably can be reused somewhere else, but I don't know what at this point.
Do we have any idea what we could sell it for? I mean, if we can buy a used one for 50 now, do you think we could sell it for
You probably
23 then?
usually is 50% of the original cost, so maybe 20,000. I don't know. So if we go with option 3, and since the price is more, is not, that's a estimate that was given to me last month. But if the cost to buy a used modular office is more than $50,000, I need to do a RFP again. So what I was planning to do is request, just inquire and find out if they can provide it for less than 50. If it's less than 50, then I need to request 3 proposals or quotes, and then we can make a decision. But if it's gonna be more than 50, I have to start a process again that will take a month and a half.
What's the lifespan on the modular building? You know?
I'm not sure, but if they're used, they probably go several years, 7 years probably, I don't know.
If we're buying, would it be the same configuration? Because I know.
It'll be the same configuration.
Okay.
So if we put something in the 1920 budget as in the CIP, we're probably still looking until 2020 to 2021 before we'd even start construction.
At least 3-4 years
So
down the road.
no matter what, we're looking at 3-4 years before we'll have a building, and that's if we move on it quickly, right? So one question is, do we have any, I mean, I know you can't answer this completely, but just your thoughts. Do we have real concerns that we wouldn't be able to have a permanent building in place by 7 years?
Based
Doesn't
on what
seem
I know,
difficult.
I don't see a problem getting it within 7 years,
Okay.
if not less.
So then to me, it seems like that already eliminates the 7-year lease and buying the new one, so we come down to the 5-year lease or buy a used one and then either repurpose it or sell it back. What's everybody else thinking?
I mean, the plans of a city are always wavering, in my opinion. So the least amount of money that we can spend right now makes sense in my mind to buy a used modular building, have it on the premise. We can reuse it if we see fit, or move it to another location. I mean, that's the only choice. Leasing one for even 5 years just doesn't make sense to me.
The 5-year lease is the lowest cost right now, though.
Except to buy one for 50,
Well,
and it's ours.
Right now, cost is $20,000. You're not paying for a lease right now.
Right, it's spread out over 5 years
Yep.
versus
Oh.
50 grand up front.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we have
So
it.
we are talking about a difference of 30 grand, so.
We have it no matter what, right?
Yep.
So that, I mean, that's not a. Yeah, yeah.
Just in buy used one.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
like buying a used one.
Any further questions, comments then? Sounds like we're getting to a
Well, I
consensus.
think we'll have to figure out if, are we gonna try to have them run the under 50,000, or do we have to go through a brand new RFP process?
Well,
We'll have to
I
have
think Gons wants to try to do that anyway, one, to save the city money, but also to make his life easier. So, I mean, if we can get it for less than 50, that's all the better, right? So,
I make a motion to approve buying what is it, okay. Make a motion to give a recommendation to City Hall to authorize the city administrator to buy the used modular office for 50,000 or less.
Less.
Second.
motion Barney, second Waldman. Any further discussion?
Do we have to table it, or can we do that?
No, you put a cap on it, so if then it comes back and we have to do something with it, then that's just process, it'll have to come back, if that happens. But if it comes in at $49,999, away we go.
And then it doesn't come back here.
It doesn't come back.
Okay.
Just making sure it's kosher.
I think so. Anything else? Okay. I'll restate. Barney was motion, Waldman was second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business item number 1.
I'll do a brief introduction, and then I'll have Jeff Lemire. He's the Utilities Senior Staff Engineer. He joined the city in September or August. So he'll do a presentation on the related to the inflow and infiltration reduction program. But the also known as INI is not new. It was originally proposed to have a INI program reduction in the 2009 master plan. Nothing happened. So last year we did a revised water master plan, and they recommend for the city to adapt and implement an inflow and infiltration program. And this program is an important element of any collection system improvement program. We haven't done anything for years. But here's a number that I think will catch your attention. We treated about 521,749 gallons of INI per day, which is equivalent to almost less than $500,000 we have to pay to process rainwater or groundwater. So it's pretty significant. So if we have started the program in 2009, we would have saved a lot of operating and maintenance costs. With that, I'll have Jeff do the PowerPoint presentation. Up here or?
I guess the presentation will probably tell us some of this, but does everybody know what we're talking about INI wise? Okay.
Okay, like God said, my name is Jeff Lemire. Been with the city from middle of August, and jumped right into getting this INI program started here. Does everyone know what INI is? Okay, well then I'll skip that little bit. In this presentation we will discuss what INI is, goals of the program, how to accomplish these goals, program savings, CCTV camera findings, the TREC proposed contract values, and then we'll have time for some questions at the end of the presentation. INI has been around for a while. EPA actually started funding INI programs for communities back in the 70s. Since, major growth and costs associated with INI programs have grown drastically from that time. Those kind of funding mechanisms are not in place anymore. That is why a lot of communities these days are more of a reactive in their wastewater system improvements. Where we're trying to be proactive, that's where this INI program kicks in. Let's see, which? Okay, there. This one? Okay. So together, I&I issues increased flow being conveyed to and treated at the wastewater treatment plant. This leads to maintenance costs, higher sewer rates, higher construction costs for larger diameter pipe and larger trenching and all of that stuff that occurs during the construction project. It also reduces and shortens the lifespan of your equipment within your system. The goals of this program are to reduce the O&M costs, extend the useful life of our existing infrastructure and equipment in our system, provide capacity for future growth in the community, and postpone and/or eliminate unnecessary improvements that are spelled out in our master plan and current CIP. With the I&I program implementation, we look at drastically reducing the approximately 521,000 gallons of I&I that is treated daily at the wastewater treatment plant. Trek is the consultant that has been suggested for approval, and they have performed many I&I programs and studies for communities all over the nation, let alone the Kansas City area. And with the collaboration of city staff working with Trek, the goals that I have outlined here should be pretty attainable. So how do we accomplish these goals? First, we need to review our existing flow data and our existing modeling, which we already know there are errors in that. So we need to collect more data, which will be running a 60-day monitoring period this spring so that we can capture the point of the year that the most I&I will be introduced into our system. Analysis of this data and review of the maintenance history for the system will then direct us as the project team to areas of largest concern in hopes that we get the low-hanging fruit first in the project and then move on to the harder areas after that. At that point, the I&I reduction program will start to form conclusions on where further inspections and testing may be required, such as additional manhole inspections, smoke testing, and CCTV inspection to verify what the master plan has and the existing sewer model data shows. Once those items have been performed, rehabilitation designs can be created and maintenance and construction projects can then move forward. So why are we going to go through this lengthy process and spend a bunch of money? Well, that's because, like we said, we're spending approximately $484,000 a year on treating I&I currently. And I&I just increases as the age of your infrastructure increases. With a community of this size and the infrastructure age, in Trek's experience, they project that we at the City of Garner could see a deduction in I&I between 40 and 60%. In some older communities, they've even reached up closer to like the 80% reduction in I&I. But with our community being mixed with a bunch of new development as well as the older development, somewhere between 40 and 60% of I&I reduction will be where we land, which then in return will reduce flows within the system, reducing O&M and treatment costs, and provide additional capacity at the wastewater treatment plant for future growth. This program will determine existing capacities by providing the flow monitoring and project programming improvements required based on future growth and current growth instead of just a computer model stating you need to upsize these pipes. With the current flow monitoring contract that Trek has of $10,000, we looked at the white drive replacement project, and have declared this project unwarranted at this time. And it is projected that 50% of the $12 million in relief lines that were stated in our wastewater master plan could also be eliminated or postponed, delayed to future dates based on flow monitoring results that we are seeing over the last 6 months. While we save money on that aspect, there's also just the routine operation and maintenance that we need to do on our system. The CCTV inspection program started around August, but last year the sewer camera and the trailer were purchased, and we've been inspecting lines and documenting these items in wait for Trek to get on board so that they can review it, grade it, and then add these into our system and grade them based on which one's more important to get to at a sooner or quicker. As you can see, there's root issues. That would be the middle picture and the lower left picture. And then you have grease issues on the upper left picture, and you have inflow in the upper right picture, and then you see a manhole lid that has holes in it, which obviously allow any water that runs across it to come right into our sewer system whenever it rains. As part of the program, Trek will be providing NASCO training for our crews, which then will put our rating system of our manholes and our sewer lines all onto a national certified mechanism where if we go with another contractor or another firm in the future, they'll be able to look at that and they'll know exactly what we've graded our system on. Maybe this thing doesn't have batteries in it or something. Okay, so now on to the contract details. Trek has provided the following costs associated with the I&I program. All these costs we've compared to fees seen around the Kansas City area, and they line up with them and are actually a little bit lower than what we've seen at some other communities. Task 2 is the largest portion of the contract and also the most important part of the contract. If we don't get good data, we're not going to get good results at the end. So if we don't put the time and effort into Task 2, our development in Task 3 and our implementation in Task 4 are just not going to be sufficient. So for our program to succeed, we're looking at Trek as our design firm to move forward with and start the process so that we can get them on board and have them start the spring with our flow monitoring and program. Any questions?
So the projected construction cost of the 582 for target area 1, that is in the other chart in our packet is the year 1 target area.
Yes.
Okay. So, and obviously that's just a guess at this point, and we don't know what 2 through 8 target areas then would be at all, right?
Based on Trek's experience with the size of areas that we would be doing, it would be around the same amount. But that's also going to be dictated by what we find in Task 2.
Okay.
Some communities like to front load their program where they spend more money in the first couple of years because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your dollar. And then it drastically drops when they get years 3 through like 7 in their programs. And then it becomes more of just a annual maintenance program after that point.
Is this for the whole city?
This will be for like 75% of the city because there's some of the areas that we feel that we won't have to investigate very much. or if we do, it will be minimum.
Okay.
And that would be pertaining to more of the private I&I. And that will be more of a decision, a policy level at the city council level, that they'll need to decide if we're going to spend the effort and take the time to find all these issues and actually enforce it, which the city code currently allows. But are they going to approve that and make residents?
What's our why?
Private eye and I being like something.
Private I&I, the biggest issue would be sump pumps and gutters going directly to their sewer line laterals.
Gutters going to the sewer.
Yeah.
So, using that as a point, even if they determine that someone is connected to the system that shouldn't be, we find out, we take care of that issue, we don't really have anything to prevent them from doing it 6 months later, right? I mean, even if we catch them.
Well, what actually occurs is there's a Trek does an inspection of the illicit connection, is what it would be called, and then the resident is notified at that point, and then through the development of a private I&I program, we would determine if we are going to, as the city, have like an approved set of plumbers or contractors to perform that work, or would we put that onto the resident to perform that work, get the work done, and then Trek and city crews would go out there again and re-inspect it and make sure that it was completed.
Right, but I mean, after that, right? There's nothing that says then after they sell the house, somebody else moves in. We don't really have anything to prevent it ongoing, correct? It's just fix it as we can find it.
It's harder to,
For illicit connections.
yeah, it would be harder for them to remake the connection in most cases, especially like the gutters. They would have to go down and dig it out, and then they would have to install a new one. I don't think most people aren't going to go through that issue. Plus, for like the sump pumps, usually it's concrete, so then they would have to cut the concrete out. And
Is the grease problems, is that from restaurants or residential? I mean, the restaurants should have grease traps installed, I would assume.
we are also, one thing that Gons has put on my table is starting a fog program. So that would be something that we'll be coming back to you with, and that will be to basically increase exactly what you said, make sure that the restaurants actually have these in place, the grease interceptors and whatnot, and then also make them report and provide inspections for those. But there are issues in residential areas also where they do get grease, but a lot of it does occur over in the Moonlight area, but that also then, goes through neighborhood areas where it could cause issues and backups into residential areas.
And so for this fee, is this like a 1 year fee, or how long does this last?
Well, this contract would last longer than a year just because of the sheer volume of work. But we'd be looking at probably 8 months of work here and trying to get it towards the construction phase. And then it also includes the private I&I development program, which that's going to take a while to get through council and get approved. And they're going to have to make a lot of decisions on how that goes. Some communities pay for the disconnection of the illicit connections, and some communities only pay a portion of it. Others make the residents pay all of it. So it's just a policy issue that needs to be decided, which will probably take multiple meetings and multiple months to get that approved.
Maybe I didn't ask you that right. I guess so we give track, let's say $500,000 to complete tasks 1 through 4. Let's see.
It's
Could
probably
they come back and say, all right, you didn't complete these tasks in a timely manner, we're gonna have to start over, or?
no.
Okay. So this is a one-time fee?
Correct.
Okay.
So most of our flow monitoring will be done this spring, and then it's a matter of analyzing it and running it through the model and verifying items and doing all that stuff. This project will probably be, closer to the 12 months, maybe a little bit longer, based on the other
And then follow-up.
items that we need to occur.
Can you see in the future, would we need to do this again, like, say 5, 10, 15 years down the road? Or will we in that?
Are they going to set us up with some
Right.
sort of an ongoing?
It would be more of an
Program.
ongoing program. Once the upfront stuff is done, you really don't have to go back and get more flow monitoring, more task 2 items done. Unless you have major development
Right.
come into your area, then you'll want to go back at that time and review those areas. But you don't have to review those areas until they get, 15, 20 years old.
Okay.
So, check my math here, but over the 8 years of 2018 through 2025, right? So we spend the 433 up front. That gets us data, a plan developed, and a good starting point. But then we spend, estimated of course, $582,000 for the next 7 years, for a total of $5 million over the 8 years. Is that correct?
Because we're still having to pay the wastewater. Is
No,
what you're
that doesn't even, that doesn't have anything to do with the 484 that you're paying every year on top of that.
Right, okay.
Well, that 484 would be reduced.
It would be getting reduced.
Getting
right.
reduced.
But we might reduce it down 40 to 60%, right? So 50%. So let's say $250,000, right?
Mhm.
So they think after we finish all 8 years that we'll save the $250,000 and we'll reduce the 500 some thousand gallons down to 300,000, 250,000 maybe? Or are they trying to get that down to zero? I mean, obviously that's the goal, but
The goal is to
realistically,
get, realistically, it would be somewhere probably around $119,000 a year of savings once the program is done.
okay.
But the big kicker is, if you look at next year in the CIP, there's a White Drive gravity main replacement project. That was to upgrade a 20-inch sewer line to a 40-inch line, was what the model was saying, for approximately a mile worth of sanitary sewer. And that was valued at $2.2 million for us to start design now and construct it next year. After performing flow monitoring on that line, that has now been postponed project. So we will not be seeing that in the next 5 years.
Right. So it almost seems like to me that we've got two things going then. That this contract can give us, one, a plan for reducing I&I, but also necessary data to be able to plan projects for the next 10 years. Right? It's going to give us both.
Correct.
So it seems like the study of what we need to do for planning out for the next 10 years to me, that seems more beneficial than the savings of the I&I, because if we only end up saving $200,000 a year on I&I, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but it costs us $4.5 million to save $200,000 after that. I'm all for saving the money, but I'm curious how eager we're going to be to spend $500,000 a year to save $200,000 a year.
The degradation of the system, I would think, would, over the years, as it breaks down more, because it wasn't taken care of, would actually increase our costs.
It will,
Correct.
but that,
Which will then drive our project costs up and our
Right.
CIP up.
so where I'm going with that though is, if we did this now and got the necessary data for our long-term plan, we'd still have the data, as you said. And then if we come to, we do a year or two worth of I&I reduction, get some bang for the buck, and then who knows what's going to happen, let's say 3-4 years from now, and those last 3 or 4 years of, tasks, let's say 5 through 8, if we delayed those, would we be wasting our money
Well-
on the plan now?
Clarification too, $582,500, the estimate that they gave us, that would also include manhole replacements and those kind of projects that are already budgeted and already in the line maintenance budget. So some of this is money that's already budgeted.
So how much over and above normal maintenance are we spending on I&I reduction?
I mean, it would still be
Significant.
significant, yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering if the plan up front makes sense, and then you get initial reduction, and then you sit on it for a couple years, because who knows what's going to happen. I'm not saying this is the master plan, but just if it did, until your system did get worse, to where now those numbers are more in line, to where you spend 500 to save 200. Well, now it's 500 to save 400. Is there any chance that our data now is going to be too stale, and we need to start over? Probably not, right? Because the data is not going to change unless there's significant development in the existing neighborhoods.
Correct.
Okay. So the only thing is, it could get worse, and we would just need to have maybe an updated number to know how much worse, right?
Right.
If I may say, right now, we are doing projects like manhole replacement, identifying issues that we are detected with the camera. So we're doing things, but we don't have a systematic approach on how to resolve the issues. It's more of on a day-by-day basis. So I think this program will give you will give you data that we can use to determine what areas are most critical. And also we have a program in place so everything can be done. I think task 2 and 3 are a must, and that will determine task 4, in my opinion. It can be more or it can be less. But right now we're doing a lot of things, but we don't have a systematic approach to how to do it.
And as Gons just said, like the task 4 could be varied, and what the contract would be written to is to not to exceed the amount shown there.
So realistically, we're not, this contract, what we're recommending here is for the total 433.
Correct.
But in reality, we're really looking for the 200 for task 1 through 3, and then we'll see what that brings us. And you have another contract for the specifics of task 4. Is that correct?
They would be all underneath one contract
It's
right
one
now.
contract. Okay.
It's written underneath one. I think it's based off a rate schedule approach for
Okay.
monthly billing. Is what it's saying.
That's
Did I see something where the Kill Creek savings
Yes.
also? Like 12 million or something?
So the Kill Creek wastewater treatment plant, according to the master planning and the modeling and everything currently, shows that we would need to expand that in 2032. And just in the this small amount of flow monitoring that we've done so far and projecting what other areas would be eliminated from the system, that improvement would be postponed probably somewhere into the 3 to 5 years. So there's a lot of chain reaction items that would occur by performing this I&I study.
Well, to me, I see the benefit of the study, one, for the long-term planning, the data will be helpful. And two, an initial reduction in I&I with task 4. And then where it goes from there, we'll have to see anyway. So that was my main concern, was that we get to that point and now other priorities are on the table, and we don't want to spend the additional money. Did we waste this money? It doesn't sound like we will be. So
No, because like Gon said, we'll actually have a plan that will dictate where our line maintenance crew goes and how they go through the city and look at the things instead of being more on the reactive side.
well, and we've been complaining about I&I for years. I mean, I can remember when we did the BPU investigation committee, we talked about I&I and how the sewer was having all sorts of problems. So, I mean, that's got to be at least 5 years ago. We've never done anything about it. So.
Final questions. My final question. So the camera that's being used is our camera.
Correct.
Are they going to use their own camera?
We'll be teaming up with them.
Teaming up, okay.
So what that will provide is that our city staff gets trained with the NASCO formatting of reviewing and cataloging it, all these inspections, and rating the inspections.
My concern is, like, we just bought our own camera. Is that going to take away from what we're doing for
Currently,
the city?
no.
Okay.
Because
And-
currently we're using the camera to investigate these issues.
Yeah, right. And completing task 4 on our own. Correct?
Parts of task 4.
Parts of task 4. Okay.
Just nickel and dime here and there as we see it.
Well, it's more in the aspect that we wanted to get our staff trained properly in using the equipment. And that, from talking with Trek, that's how majority of the communities perform this I&I. They have their staff trained by the consultant to do certain things, and then it helps reduce the cost.
Other questions other than Clint?
I have my final.
I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve a recommendation to the city council to authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with Trek Design Group, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $432,943 for the influent infiltration study and analysis.
Second.
I'm going to go with Waldman. Motion, Crivens, second, Waldman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion item number 1. Maybe it's just louder.
And our 20.
The first item is the fourth quarter electric outage report. For the fourth quarter, we had 5 outages affecting 142 customers. 2 caused by animals, 1 caused by damage from others, 1 caused by equipment fail, and 1 from an unknown cause. The average response time was 32 minutes, and the average length of the outage, 1 hour and 17 minutes. If you looking at the past 3-year outages, let's see, fourth quarter. Oops. Yeah, the annuals. You have 2015 electric outage. 2015 we had 52. Last year we had 29 outages. And this year we have 37. One thing that I'd like to point out, there is no tree outages this year. So the tree trimming program is very effective.
Yep.
And most of the problems were associated with equipment failure or animals. But we seem like we have a tendency to go down on the outages, which is very good. Any questions?
They're hunting squirrels.
And we put special devices to prevent the squirrel from causing an outage. But it may take a little while to identify all the spots where the squirrels are.
I'm impressed they got a pad mount transformer replaced in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Granted, it was just 50 kVA. It's a little guy.
Then we have the wastewater collection repairs. This report was started this year, so we're still collecting data. But for 2017, we had 7 sanitary sewer line repairs, 6 due to line failures, and 1 caused by other causes. We had 5 blockages, 2 due to roots, 1 caused by damage, and 1 due to unknown cause, and 1 due to other causes. I really cannot tell you the difference between the other and the unknown. The average response time was 28 minutes, and the average outage or repair was 2 hours and 9 minutes. The overall average response was 29 minutes with an average of 4 hours and 49 minutes. So I think we're, as far as the actual repairs, we're about I don't have the data from last year, but we're about the same, if not less, than previous years. On the water distribution, we have 35 repairs, 7 due to valve failures, 9 due to hardware failure, 9 due to mainline failures, 6 due to service line breaks, 1 hydrant failure, 1 caused by damage by others, and 2 other causes. The overall average response time for 2017 was 18 minutes with an average repair completion time of 5 hours and 18 minutes. If you compare that to the electric outage, most of the electric is overhead or underground. But if you go to sewer and water, you have to dig to do the repairs, especially on water. So it takes a little longer. You have to spot your utilities before you can dig. So that takes a little more time than electric repairs. So you cannot compare water, wastewater, and electric. The repair time on electric is a lot faster, unless you have a underground failure.
Easier just to take the squirrel out than it is to dig down.
So that's a good example there.
Well, those are all still pretty good times, and the response time is across the board is great. So it's good to see staff is on top of it, and yeah, water and wastewater, they're always going to take longer, so they're still good times.
And then the last item is project updates. I put together, we track these projects on a monthly basis, so based on chairman's request, I put together a status report of all the agenda items that were approved by the UAC or the city council. And we had 35 items last year. I'll probably say like 90% were complete. The ones are still pending is the item 10, the computer maintenance management software. The data from all the department has been entered into Lucity, and staff will be trained in the use of Lucity next week or the following week. So it should be up and running by late January or first week in February.
That'd be great.
Then item 19, we had a project to put a backfeed between Fairfield subdivision and Sheen's Crossing. The project was approved by the UAC and the City Council. We purchased the materials, the cables, but we have not been able to acquire any easements because the present landowner doesn't want to give us easements. So what we did, we went ahead and went to the outer side. This is right at the city limit between Garner and Edgerton. So we went to Edgerton side and talked with North Point Development Company. At the beginning, they were very receptive. They said, yeah, we'll give you the easements. And they said, no, we cannot accommodate you because we already made a commitment to Edgerton to put a trail on that side of the city limit.
They're gonna put a trail
Right.
right on the backside of their big humps that they have, those,
They say we're going to put trails over there, so they cannot accommodate the city to put a electric distribution line. So I send them a picture we have in 183rd Street. You have the trails, and then you have the electric distribution side by side. But
so they're not budging.
they did not respond to my email, so we're not going to get anything from them.
Okay, so with the homeowner, or the landowner, I should say, what we're talking about is from 183rd South.
To about
Is that
Horizon
the
Trails.
Horseshoe Line? Okay, so we're talking about where Poplar Street would be if we extended Poplar Street south, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So if Poplar Street was extended, we would have a right-of-way there anyway, right? We could use the street right-of-way, not even need a utility easement, but because we don't have the street, we went to go get a utility easement, and we can't get it.
But usually when you extend a street, there have to be a development.
Correct.
Otherwise, it doesn't make sense putting the street with no development.
Right. And
So it's a catch-22 there.
right, and that street's not going to get put in now because you can't develop west because that's now a city limit. So,
Or, that's, the actual Poplar Street will be east of the city limit.
right, but not
But
by
the
much.
but the issue is that the landowner, due to additional requirements by city codes, he doesn't want to develop anything. They said it's going to be too costly, and they don't want to invest in the city.
Okay, but the utility easement doesn't mean he has to do anything.
Yeah, but he has to grant you access to his land. So we had a meeting with them, and he was receptive for the first time, and they said, no, I don't want to, the city have not treated me, I guess, right. They're not willing to help me develop my subdivision, so we're not going to work with the electric department either. So that's another no.
And that's where it sits now. It's a closed case from that person's perspective.
It's my understanding he's trying to sell that land to somebody else right now and get out of Garner.
So our only recourse is to condemn.
The word that nobody likes to say, condemn the easement. Yeah.
How long do we have to endure before we use that word?
As long as you want.
I mean, how necessary is this?
Well, it's a backfeed, but right now, this would be the only this would be the only thing that would give you secondary power to
Yep.
all of Fairfield, right? That entire
Fairfield
subdivision?
and Sheen's Crossing.
So everything from 183rd Street west of Gardner Road to the city limits, headed west, south to Horizon Trails,
Yep.
correct?
So right now, you have an outage, let's say on Nike School, you would have to isolate the fault, do the repairs, and that may take, I don't know, maybe a few hours, so it can take a couple of days. With a backfeed, you can isolate the line, and then you can backfeed from a different circuit the existing load, Nike School, for example. So the
Right.
service can be restored within a few hours.
I don't remember the circuit, but we have another circuit that
Comes
works its
from,
way down I-35 right there.
Yes.
right? Yeah.
so if we're trying to develop that area, eventually we need to put a distribution line anyway. But we're always trying to minimize outages and provide service as soon as possible.
Does our contract expire on at any point with the,
Contract,
What contract?
well,
The annex-
vendor,
annex.
with the annex?
We purchased.
No, yeah, we
material,
bought it.
and
Oh,
we
so
were
we
doing
just,
the work.
we just purchased.
We just can't do the work.
Okay.
we have
We're
all the
doing the work,
material,
we've
we have
already
the linemen, we have everything except that we don't have access to the easement. We don't have an easement to put the distribution line.
I know nobody likes the word, but that might be the next thing.
No, that's not up to us anyway.
No, it'll get, yeah, but
So that's the status on item 19.
real quick, Don, out of curiosity, what's this group think about condemning that to get that easement?
How long has this been on hold?
Since July of last year,
July of 2017 or 16?
17.
Yeah,
Okay.
city council approved it May 1st.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're looking, is there gonna be development out there anytime in the next year?
There is a Horizon Trails Phase 2, and there's another development,
Yeah.
but Horizon Trails 2 is the one they've approached the city to do the second phase
On the north side of,
on the north side of
What is that street?
187th Street, 188th, sorry.
So we have Horizon Trails there, Nottingham Village, and
all of the residential to the north, to 183rd.
but what about, isn't Orchlands there and,
Yep, all of that.
okay. And you said it went all the way down to Nike?
Yeah, that's a circuit. You have two circuits. There's a circuit that goes to Fairfield. You have a different circuit that feeds Sheen's Crossing all the way down to Nike School. So we're trying to tie both circuits in case of a outage or
Which is what we've
Any
done pretty
failure.
much across the city anytime we get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes it easier for that outage time for those, for your electric, to be able to swap, to another circuit and work on it while you've got power going to everybody, depending on what the outage is, of course.
now you isolate the line and then you can feed the circuit. But without having an alternate source, then you have to fix the line
Right.
before you can restore the
Have
power.
we had any problems with that line, though? I mean,
No, but right now it's only one circuit feeding all those areas that I mentioned, especially Nike School.
Yeah.
second question would be, is there like a shelf life? I know we bought all the material to do it. Is there a shelf life or anything for that material
No,
that we've already bought?
the biggest expense was the aluminum conductor, and that can
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably
That
use
can't-
that on another project
Yeah.
if we needed to.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm up for it. I mean, it's been 6 months, so.
Have we approached the landowner since the property went up for sale? I mean, you might not.
No, because
care.
I got a nasty email saying that he doesn't want to talk with us.
Okay.
What
I'm
does
okay with it.
what
That's
does
your answer.
condemning actually do?
Taking the easement. by
Condemning,
Just makes it
Basically-
look bad.
it's a horrible word, and basically you're forcing the easement to go through by legal means.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like eminent domain everybody hates, right? And it's because they take something from you. Well, this is taking.
You're
the-
right to say that.
You still have the land, but they have the. You would guarantee the city the utility easement so that we could put something on there. So you could put a pole in the ground.
Right.
But
So,
the land itself would still be the homeowners, or the property.
so
And
the
they'll-
outcome would be essentially the same, except the city looks like bowling.
Yeah.
That's
They'll
why it's
get-
a bad word.
They'll get a economic compensation for the easement. May not be
Right,
what
fair-
they
fair
wanted.
price.
It'll be more of a market cost or value.
So they would get compensation either way.
Yeah, but if it's on their mutual agreement, they can get a little bit more. But now they don't want to deal with you, then you have to force them to
Right, because then you have the cost of
take
building.
the deal.
So the cost of the city would probably be about the same.
Probably a little less.
With the legal fees and everything?
I cannot answer
Hard
that,
to
but
say on that.
usually it should be less than, because you'll be paying less for the easement than,
Yeah. Yeah,
That sounds like a bargaining chip
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd reach out one more time if,
with the bargaining.
Well, it
chip.
might be that the reaching out is the city attorney going forward.
Yes.
But does that seem reasonable if, from this group's perspective, that's the next step? I mean, I know we're not making a decision, but.
right, well, I mean, that's
I'm just trying to get feedback.
6 months is long enough.
Or do we wait until the property is sold and,
Get on the one that's gonna be.
Yeah.
I know.
Basically,
And the location.
You just, it's a trade-off between how soon do we want to guarantee that we have a redundancy for all of those residents versus holding out as long as we can with this guy. I mean, there's a tipping point there somewhere. Probably depends on who you are and if you live over there, if there's an outage.
I
Not
don't
sure.
live over there.
So, okay. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry to.
okay, then we have item 21. It was a purchase of one new submersible pump for Kill Creek Water Resource Recovery Facility. We got the new pump. I think I got goofed here. 21, actually, the comment is on 24, which is Dogwood Energy Facility. Am I reading this right? Yeah. For Dogwood, the contract was signed by the city and KMEA, and the first payment is due next month. It's about $500,000. Then item 21, which I made an error there. The new pump was installed last month. Now that we have the new pump in, we were able to pull the old one so they can be sent for rebuild. And then we'll go to the second pump and the third and the fourth. So it'll take about maybe 2 years to get everything completed. Then item
What's 22's warranty issue?
yeah, this. What was it? What was that, Chairman?
Item number 22.
Oh,
says there's a
22,
warranty
yeah.
issue.
We bought a 250 kilowatt generator for Hillsdale.
Right?
It was installed in November, and there's an issue with the oil pressure. It's not reading high enough, so there's a concern we may damage the engine. So they have tried to resolve the issue since December, and there's no resolution. So we'll be asking to fix it or replace it.
Okay.
Then,
Is the vendor or whoever we purchased it from, are they working with us well?
yeah,
CNC group's good.
Yeah, but like CNC's coming out to do it, not us, right?
CNC is the one that installed the generator. The engine is a Volvo engine.
Right.
So they came and they did some troubleshooting, but there's no resolution.
Okay.
I mean, we can operate it, but they're
not
saying the
doing it.
pressure is fine, but it's reading low. So are you damaging the engine while you're running the generator? So we need to resolve that. It was like $80,000 for the new generator. Then item 27. After the agenda item was approved by the city council, the trucks were ordered, and it takes about 9-10 months to get the truck. So it'll be delivered by July of next year, or this year. The item 28, the electric rate study, we received a request from Burns and McDonnell regarding data they need to do the study. So we're collecting the data, and we should be sending all the data they needed by tomorrow. We already sent 50% of it. Then item 32, purchase of chemicals for water treatment. We have received so far 3 of the contracts. 2 are still pending. But it was, the contract was effective January 1st, so we're gonna be using those vendors to purchase new chemical for Hillsdale. Some of them are the current providers. 33, utility locate service. Service started January 1st, 18. There's a transition period between USIC and Integrity Locating Services. So hopefully by February, it should be 100% integrity. 34, the item was approved by the UAC since the expense is less than $20,000. The contract is under the city administrator's signature. So we're awaiting a signature from the contractor. And item 35 is the one we discussed as whole business. So I think we've done 35. We have 35 items, and I will say 90% we're completed.
I'm confused on 34, sorry. Because
Okay.
we approved, that was the painting and the sandblast and the white covers for the turbines, right?
Yeah, the casing or enclosures.
So we approved it on the contract from Performance Contracting, and it's waiting to go to city council?
No, since it's under $25,000, the city administrator can sign the contract.
So,
Not going to city.
you're right, but I guess, okay, correction. Who needs the contract?
Okay, we need a contract signed by us and the contractor.
Oh,
We
okay.
received the
We approved,
contract.
yeah, we got an estimate that we
Yeah,
approved.
we received a
it.
proposal, not a
Gotcha.
contract.
Sorry.
We're just waiting for it to come back so
Yeah.
that city administrator can sign
Can
it.
sign
we
it,
can
and
start.
then we can start the,
And then 35 was today.
yep.
Yeah.
So, so this type of reporting is something you like to see quarterly, or?
I'd love to.
Yep,
Yeah.
Quarterly
Yeah.
sounds good.
This is
I
great.
appreciate it.
this is good, yeah.
Because, one, we can see what all's happening and remember and whatnot, and also we can find the things in red and ask the questions that we have to ask about why they're red. So,
Definitely in our packet as well.
Okay.
You can add it quarterly to the packet.
yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for putting that together.
Like I said, we tracked that since I've been here, but we never made it public. So. Then some pictures of some projects ongoing. We finally installed the, we finally installed the cabinets at CVS. There was an issue that originally the space that the cabinets were supposed to be installed, there was a problem with the gas line, so Bruce didn't want to install it, and then you have to move it. So we waited until last week, and they were installed, I think, yesterday. So hopefully CVS will be open for business soon. Does it want to work? Can you help me, Cindy?
That's it.
That's it? Well, that's all I have for this meeting. Any questions, additional information you may need?
No? Not from me. Other commissioners? Don, thank you for all the information. That was informative, and 2017 was productive, so I'll pass that on to the staff that they did good work.
Absolutely.
I entertain a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Motion Criven, second Waldman. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
No, I'm not going to finish on that sentence.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. This is good. Good. Packet.
Oh, good.
So this will be your last meeting, or you still know?